Program is still Good Morning Nigeria. Our second conversation this morning is on the abolition of estimated electricity billing in the country. How feasible? But first, let's take this background report by Kunle Adeye.
One of Nigeria's problems is the lack of adequate power supply, which many say has contributed to the slow development of the country. The current administration inherited the challenges of electricity and a sector that was deregulated. The distribution of electricity in the country is now vested in the hands of distribution companies, commonly referred to as DISCOs. Since the introduction of the prepaid meters, electricity consumers who had access to them have experienced some relief in the billing system, as they can now relatively manage their consumption and reduce wastages than in the past. Sadly, the prepaid meters are yet to go round, and many consumers are still billed based on estimation, which has not only generated controversy but led to accusations that the DISCOs are simply out to rob customers and make cutthroat profit. Some estimates show nationwide that substantial percentage of electricity consumers have not been provided prepaid meters. While there are efforts to jack up the number of prepaid meters in circulation, those still under the yoke of estimated billing are groaning over what they described as arbitrary and exaggerated electricity billing, leading to some public demonstrations in recent times.
The recent order on transitional capping of estimated bills applies to the R2 and C1.
The House of Representatives in 2018 attempted to outlaw estimated electricity billing by passing a bill seeking to reform the Power Sector Reform Act and criminalize estimated billing. The legislation did not abate the problem, and only last week, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission was compelled to officially abolish the controversial practice of estimated billing of electricity consumers by the 11 power substation companies in Nigeria.
To me, the estimated billing, I would say, is an act of injustice and imbalance on the part of Nigerians, simply because, in fact, they started talking about the prepaid meter. So it will be better if that prepaid meter will be distributed to people.
I believe it should be abolished and let there be distribution of prepaid meter to all houses. That is what I believe it should happen.
What are the challenges of eliminating estimated billing, and how can this protracted issue be resolved once and for all? These and more issues are what guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be dealing with in a moment.
All right, many thanks, Kunle Adeye, for that background. Here with us in the Abuja studios to discuss this issue, let's welcome Engineer Gideon Fatumbi, his head Metering and Laboratory Services Department of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency. That's NEMSA. Engineer Fatumbi, pleasure to have you with us on the program.
Good morning, viewers.
All right. Also here with us in the studios is Oyebode Fadikbe. Oyebode Fadikbe is head Corporate Communications of AEDC, that's Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. Pleasure to have you around.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Good morning, viewers.
Okay. Yes, and also in the studio is Princewill Okorie. Princewill Okorie is the National President, Association of Public Policy Analysis. He is also a coordinator of Small and Medium Enterprises Electricity Consumers Protection Program and the Power Sector Activist. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And joining us from our Kano studios is Mohammed Abubakar. Mohammed Abubakar is the Senior Manager, Strategy and Compliance, Kano Electricity Distribution Company. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, viewers.
We are discussing a very important matter this morning because it concerns all Nigerians, whether rich or poor. Since the introduction of prepaid metering in Nigeria, access to that piece of gadget has been a Herculean task. And one has to pass through certain ordeals to be able to get it, even when you're asked to pay for it. If you pay, you still wait for about 3 months to get it. And of course, DISCOs seem not to be in a hurry, to provide these gadgets. reasons. And these are some of the reasons we would like to know today. But let me begin with you as an activist. What was your reaction when you heard about the abolition of estimated billing?
I wasn't excited at all because the whole problem borders around enforcement. Ab initio, we had estimated billing methodology in the Act, Electric Power Sector Reform Act 2005. Was it implemented? Was it enforced? We have Section 80 of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, performance standards. Most of the standards that NEC, take for instance, to go to the transformer, supplying electricity in a particular area, check the losses, share the bill, give those that are. In most cases, the discos never went to the transformer energy that has gone to a place. That regulation should be fair to both on the part. In terms, is there consumer education? How has the consumers been educated to understand their rights in the sector? You will never hear NEC discuss Section 80, 81, and 82 of Electric Power Sector Reform Act that deals with consumer protection. And where you see a large number of consumers ignorant of the provisions of the Act that protects them, you don't expect much. So if you look at it again, they are talking about tariff. They want to ban estimated billing, but they are now approving tariff increase. How was the tariff increase done? There's another partiality there. The MITO regulation said that you will fix tariff based on available megawatts, available capacity. The available capacity generated by the GENCOs today is about 7,000 megawatts. But the distribution companies take about 3,000 megawatts out. Now, the tariff that has been increased is based on the ones taken out, that is 3,000, which would make the bill to be paid to go higher. Why not base it on what MITO regulation said? MITO regulation said it has to be based on available capacity. 7,000 megawatts is the available capacity. Where you now ignore using 7,000 megawatts to check tariff, and you are using 3,000 megawatts, you are shortchanging the consumers. So I have, me and my organization and those that believe in consumer protection, we are not excited. What we are looking at is what is the structure for monitoring and enforcement. If you have pronounced that you have banned estimated billing, in the states, what structure do you have to really monitor it? There's no consumer enumeration, and there's no structure in the states or local governments. BPE is said to be representing federal government. And they said federal, state, and local government own 40% in the value chain, in the companies. Now, who represents the interest of the states and the local governments in this value chain? Can you go to any state now and you say this is the unit of the state government that monitors revenue that comes in, that monitors the level of performance of the discos? You don't have that. Another issue that makes us feel this is not realistic is the CBN is there. Now, you hear the discos say that there is an inadequate tariff. How do you determine inadequate tariff? At least you have about 36 million consumers in Nigeria. And then what is even the NEC, what is the consumer enumeration that has been used to determine inadequate tariff? How much has the banks agreed in a transparent and accountable manner as the revenue generated by the discos based on metering and based on estimated billing all the while?
All right. Princewill Okorie, thank you very much for your opening salvo. We will return to you in the course of the conversation. Let's bring in our engineer Gideon Farumbi, who is of NEMSA. That's the Metering and Laboratory Services Department. Look, Okorie has raised the point with regard to consumer enumeration. So, what do we know about the census of electricity consumers in Nigeria? And therefore, how many of these enumerated consumers currently have access to meters? So what is the shortfall?
Okay, thank you. For our viewers, Nigeria Electricity Management Service Agency is actually set up to carry out the function of enforcement of technical standards and regulation, technical inspection, testing, and certification of all categories of electrical installations, electrical materials and equipment, including electricity and instruments. This to ensure quality time.
Just take my question.
Just take my question. I'm coming. Yeah, this we actually project into the question. So this, what the NEMSA is all about is enforcement, and we are there to get the right quality, right specification into the system. And if this, for us doing this, we'll be able to make sure that any meter going into the system are the and integrity of the meters are well known. So getting to your question, from the statistics we have, the enumeration we have from 2012 is around 5 million. And as at today, that's at December 2019, we have 10 million. Out of that, metered approximately 4.8. Then unmetered is approximately.
Okay, in the southeast of Nigeria, we decided 16 miles, one or dysfunction lasted for 3 months in pieces. And the problem was then that last week you some media to increase the issue of
viewers, and thank you for having me on this program. Let me first of all clarify a position. Estimated billing has not been banned. What has happened is that NEC has put a ceiling that for certain area, in certain locations, you cannot go above this quantity of energy. For instance, let me take AEDC that I'm quite familiar with. In Maitama, for instance, the upper ceiling is 432 kilowatt, the unit cost of energy. So if you take 42,000 plus, which is about the bond between Nasarawa State axis, Ado, for instance, cannot be more than the entire month. So in band, RC has done is deeds all over the field customers who don't have meters. 1. 2, it is not even all categories of customers that are affected. It's just 2 classes of customers. Those you regard as R2 and those you regard as C1. R2 are residential customers. C1 are single phase and 3-phase commercial customers. So those are the classes of people. There is another class of customers that NERC says we must meter by the end of April, 30th April, which are customers who are maximum demand customers. Why did they say so? Before now, NEC had ordered that we must meter all these classes of customers. Peradventure, there are still pockets of unmetered MD customers. NEC now says by the 30th of April 2020, you must have completed the metering of all those classes of customers.
So not metering all, just the classes you mentioned. You're not going to. What about the other classes?
No, what I'm saying is that the classes of customers that NEC has identified for this estimated billing is R2 and C1, because in any case they form the majority. They are the bulk of the customers. Let me also say that there are customers that you classify as R1. Those ones are still paying 4 naira. There are still customers in this country who are paying 4 naira. So for those ones, NEC has even said you cannot also have 50 kilowatt hour for them. So you still have customers who are paying as low as 200 naira per month. When you cannot, when your phone, yes, that's it. It's here. It's not a It's not a document. Sorry, sir. The document is not my document. No. The document is not my document. The document is a correct document.
Oyebode, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
For the clarification.
Thank you, sir.
But we also have the Senior Manager, Strategy and Compliance, Kano Electricity Distribution Company. That's Mohammed Abubakar in our Kano Network Center. Some consumers are of the opinion that to the extent that the law, that's the Electricity Sector Reform Act of 2005, provides for estimated billing, DISCOs have now latched onto that provision and they are shirking their responsibility of providing meters. And the question always is, what is the big deal about providing meters? How much is a meter, by the way?
Thank you. I want to appreciate Oyebode for the clarification. One of the major problems we're facing in the industry is that of knowledge gap. There is serious evidence of knowledge gap in the industry. In NESI, that's Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry, there is a guiding principle, which is the MITO, Multi-Year Tariff Order. It is like the holy guide for the industry. It determines all the revenue and the cost of the industry as well as the resultant tariff, end-user tariff. So what is basic there is the fact that for a disco to meter its customer, there must be vision. We call an investment an average of and what have you. So basically of the disco, the point here become imperative for the disco can actually impact on the industry. So, but has brought a new regulation taking off the responsibility of provision of meters from discos to the third party, which is that has responsibility the customers.
For put something else and the consumers, discos, you get it when you pay for it. So Kingsley was got to procure the meters. I want to bring you
villages. The month, this community told the local government 2004 no electricity because they wanted to 33 kVA estimation. To the eve of crime in this sector is collecting the reconnection fee, which is nowhere in the act. There's nowhere in the act that it was said there must be reconnection fee. Rather, the act says if you have a standard of performance for distribution, disconnect you and you pay 4 hours, you should be reconnected. To reconnect you that same day, as they're giving you bill, that client provided a very good grant for this consumer forum. They say, first of all, you report to the customer unit of the disco. After 15 days, NEC wait for another 15 days. You'll be in darkness. The consumer friendly.
5.2 million without. So what is the deal in providing meters? What is
man from Kano was trying to lay a foundation for is the issue of liquidity. Fair by 2 points. One, the issue of liquidity.
Second, a much longer time to produce rather than machine-made shoes. Are meters handcrafted that it will take almost a decade to get 1 meter out, then you bring it to... what is the big deal? What do you know about this?
I think Mr. Fadipe has said something earlier regarding finances. I think that's the major
But people are paying for the meter. What about fund? What is fund all about? The people are paying for this meter. So what is the fund you are talking about? Many people are willing to pay for the meter.
Say something along the line of your handcrafted shoes.
Thank you for the handcrafted shoes. But I know where this shoe was made. It was made in Aba. So if they are doing handcrafted shoes in Aba now, let them also give us meters that we can pick easily. But coming to the issue specifically. Before now, what we had was CAPME, and it was also customer funded. Let's also backtrack a little bit. PACN, then NEPA. I have said it before, and I want to say it again, and I stand to be corrected. Meter has not been at the same pace of customers' demand. It grew a little bit worse towards the privatization, and that's why government brilliantly came up with the issue of CAPME. Again, it was on the basis of liquidity, that if the discos then, or the then NEPA or PACN cannot fund it, let customers advance the money. So this problem is not a fresh problem. It's not as if it was when the discos came or post-privatization that this issue of liquidity came in. Just hold on, sir. Mr. Princewill, you will hold on.
I will come to you.
Hold on, sir. Please, I think you will have your floor, sir. You will have your point, sir.
Go ahead.
Now, coming after CAPME, the discos took it on. The problem was still there. Now we have come to MAP, and discos have been asked to hands off. Why is it that all the maps in the country have also not been able to meet up with the demand that is on ground? That's the question we should ask ourselves.
And yet, yes, Mohammed Abubakar.
Yes, sir.
And yet, we keep hearing from the discos about cost recovery, that you are not able to collect, tariff from users of the electricity. If people have meters, they don't need to come to your office. Your people don't need to go there to go. They will come and buy credit from you. The money goes into your pocket. So what is it? I keep asking this question. You have to pardon my ignorance. What is the big deal? 5.2 million. How much is the cost of 1 meter? Is it up to 100,000? And must you flood the market in 1 month? Can you not be doing it phase by phase? You are talking about cost recovery, but people don't have meters. So how would they pay you? How would they pay? How would they buy credit? It's like, hold on a second. My question is to Mohammed in Abuja. It's like, have you heard any GSM company complain about cost recovery? If you don't have airtime on your phone, you go and buy. If you don't buy, you won't have access. What is the problem?
You see, is industry with power sector, is that ability, but if you, so is the situation is different. Public good, if you actually learn and bring us up to this problem we are battling with in this, everybody said.
They provided. If they are complaining of liquidity. Was there no feasibility study done before they came in?
Okorie, full stop. Not pause, full stop. Oyebode Fadipe, tell us, I mean, why are some of your members rejecting power and then you say you don't have money?
It's strange to say that discos are rejecting power. It's quite strange. I mean, take for instance a study. About 2 weeks ago, I did a small array. I mean, we can do it here. There are about 168 hours in a week. We didn't get power for 130 hours. For 130 hours. We are at the end point. We didn't get power from the next level of power supplier. So what do we do?
In fact, we have to pause it here. We didn't have to pause it here. We'll take it from here for another day. We're going to assemble again for this very part of the show. Yes. Let's thank engineer this morning. Head Corporate Communications Abuja Distribution Company.